Dear all, good morning. I'm Pratiksha, lab technician at Atal Incubation Center, Coffee Board. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's session of the Ventures Park webinar series on the topic Startup Stories, hosted by AIC-CCRI-CED, a technology business incubator established at the Coffee Board's head office in Bengaluru. This initiative, in collaboration with Central Coffee Research Institute and Atal Innovation Mission, is dedicated to supporting and nurturing startups in the coffee sector. At AIC-CCRI-CED, we offer a range of facilities and services designed to accelerate the growth of innovative coffee-related ventures. Our resources include state-of-the-art laboratories, mentorship programs, funding opportunities, and access to industry experts. Ventures Park Startup Stories webinar series is a dynamic initiative that showcases the journeys, challenges, and successes of entrepreneurs designed to inspire, educate, and connect. The series provides a valuable opportunity for both aspiring and established entrepreneurs to learn from the real-life experiences of successful founders, investors, and industry experts. It offers useful insights, practical tips, and valuable networking opportunities, helping to spark and support your entrepreneurial journey. To deliver today's session, we are honored to have with us Mr. Karumbaya BK, founder of So Coffee Origins Private Limited, and Mr. Tony Datti, founder of Chica Coffee, Flex Protein Co. and Rampa Coffee House. Mr. Karumbaya is an alumnus of the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and holds a degree in mechanical engineering from the National Institute of Engineering. He is building a platform for a smart supply chain for Indian coffee. A coffee grower himself, he brings deep experience from the startup and tech ecosystem. Prior to So Coffee, he held multiple leadership roles at US Story Media, including COO, CPO, and CSO. His entrepreneurial journey began with Pic Story, a platform for Indian photographers, which was later acquired by US Story in 2019. He also worked in product and strategy roles at InMobi, India's first unicorn, and with two portfolio companies of Blackstone India. His experience spans both startup and corporate environments, and he combines strong business acumen with a deep passion for coffee. His startup, So Coffee Origins Private Limited, recently received Rs 50 lakhs in funding under the Government of Karnataka Elevate 2024 initiative launched by the Department of Electronics, IT/BT, and S&T to support high potential startups through funding and mentorship. Coming to our next resource person, Mr. Tony Datti is a passionate entrepreneur and the founder of Chica Cafe, registered as Chica Coffee Roasters LLP in Hyderabad, which offers a premium coffee experience. Known for its warm ambience, artisanal beverages, and carefully curated menu, Chica Cafe has become a favorite destination for coffee lovers who value both comfort and craftsmanship. In addition to Chica Cafe, Mr. Datti launched Flex Protein Co., which promotes clean, sustainable nutrition, and Rampa Coffee House, which blends traditional coffee culture with modern cafe concept. We are thrilled to have them with us today to share their inspiring journey and valuable insights. I welcome you both on behalf of the Atal Incubation Center, Coffee Board. Over to you, Mr. Karumbaya.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karumbaya, and thank you so much, Pratiksha, for the introduction. I hope I'm visible, I hope I'm audible, and I'm just going to share my screen.
Please start, please, sir.
Just give me a minute. Sorry, it's taking some time for the screen share. Is the screen now visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this call. I'll take the next 10 to 12 minutes in terms of running through what we're doing at So Coffee. And I would be happy to answer any questions post that. So like Pratiksha mentioned, we're working on building a smart supply chain for Indian coffee. And I'll talk more about, what we mean by that. And honestly, I think we're also in the process of still figuring out, what's the best way to be doing it. But before that, I'll start with why I'm working on this. So about 3 years back, I'm a coffee grower myself. We are small coffee growers, and I thought I should be doing something in the coffee space because of being from Coorg and having so much of exposure to estates. So I kind of 3 years back started this weekend project. I called it the Cook Filter. I went to a local market in Coorg in Gonikopa and bought some roasted coffee from there and set up a Shopify website over the weekend and created this Cook filter, which is essentially like, farm to like freshly roasted coffee, which will be delivered to you in about, 15 or 20 days. I sent this email out to an alumni community and I ended up getting about 40 to 50 orders. But people came back with a lot of questions. They were like, is it a dark roast? Is it a light roast? Can I use a French press? Which estate? How is it processed, etc.? And I realized that I knew none of these answers. And I think that for me was my aha moment to say that, despite being a grower, despite, having coffee estates around your house, I was still so disconnected from the end cup. So I stopped that project. I serviced those orders. And then the last 3 years, I've spent a lot of time going deep on supply chain. I started with doing some specialty processing of Robustas in our estate. So this is the third year. We started with 20 kgs, then did 200 kgs. And this time we processed about 2,000 kgs of about 2 tons of specialty Robusta. I bought a small 100-gram roaster, the Ikawa roaster, and became a home roaster. Then migrated to a bullet and been like a home roaster for the last again 2-3 years. I did a lot of coffee tasting sessions with friends, with Yostri, the company that I used to work for, with different startup tech communities. And the more I did this, I realized that this farm to cup gap which exists in coffee was not just my case; it was a case with pretty much, I would say, 99% of the growers. And I think that's what the vision or the problem of that we want to solve with So Coffee is. How do you bridge the gap between farm and cup for Indian coffee, but do it in a manner which is technology enabled and do it in a manner which is digital enabled? Because unless you're able to do that, then you will not be able to like do it in a scalable manner. And hence I think everything that we're doing is towards this problem statement, and how do we integrate technology very deeply into it. So, in terms of how do we go about it, we said, let's take a first principle approach and let's figure out, what are the reasons because of which this problem exists, right? And it kind of came down to three things that we thought were the reason why this problem exists. One is, it's being done that way. I mean, like, we are third generation growers, and the whole way of selling coffee is like process it as quickly as possible and sell it in the local market, right? So I think there's a legacy or there's convention in terms of how it's being done. So just in terms of a new way, I think needs a lot of inspiration, needs a lot of, I think, education. And hence with So Coffee, you will see that we're very strongly anchored on content, because we feel content showcasing stories of success, showcasing stories of good work happening would be inspiration that everyone needs to say that, okay, how do I as a coffee grower also process my coffee in a good way, or let's say work with So Coffee to process my coffee in a good way. The second reason we thought was the demand, that Indian demand traditionally has been more instant and filter, and it's probably still the case, but it's fast changing. But I think today there's sufficient pull in the market where there is a know-how or pull in terms of how do I kind of create good coffee. And finally, with 99% of Indian coffee growers being small growers, I think it's very difficult for a small grower to say that, hey, let me put up the infrastructure, let me figure out the market linkage, and hence it just is almost like impossible for a small grower to be at scale processing coffee in a very good manner and getting the premium for it. And hence our solution is kind of based on this. We have a three stack kind of an approach. At the heart of this really is the supply chain of coffee, and what you see over here, the smart processing factory. We've set up a small processing unit. There's nothing smart about it right now, but the intention is, these kind of things also need investment, it kind of happens over time. So right now the stage at which we are is we've set up a small processing unit. We've processed about 2 tons of coffee this time, with some amount of automation to it, but the intention is with time this unit becomes a lot more IoT enabled, a lot more tech enabled, and a lot more scalable. And because we are supply first in that sense, we'll be demand agnostic. So we will be partnering with maybe different roasters, different coffee shops, and we will also have our own B2C touch points eventually. But that's the heart of this business, which is going to be a supply chain oriented farm to cup kind of a part of the business. Like I said, we're also very content oriented as a business, and the reason we're content oriented is as we scale processing, not just with So Coffee, but in general with the Indian ecosystem, as we process more and more good coffee, there is a need to showcase good work, to showcase Indian coffee both outside and within domestically, so that there is good branding, there's good pull from a market in terms of, hey, this is good coffee, whether through so coffee or otherwise, and hence there's a larger demand for well processed coffee. And at part C, which I've kind of written about, is if you've processed coffee well, if it's not really traceable, then it's very difficult. It's largely based on taste, but if you're able to kind of give a lot more details about which estate, how it was processed, etc., I think it's both an education opportunity as well as a credibility kind of a story in terms of, hey, this coffee is actually authentic or good, right? So in terms of the content platform, so far we've kind of launched our website. We typically feature a story every week. We've interviewed about 12 different people, and we've launched our Instagram page. Young page, we're still about 1,000 followers or so, but with pretty decent engagement. And that's essentially what we're doing in content. We will continue doing this in terms of interviewing people, doing a great job in Indian coffee and showcasing it, both in terms of showcasing their good work, but also in terms of creating inspiration and branding good quality work in Indian coffee. Right, so that's what we're doing on the content front. In terms of supply chain, this is a, like I said, it's a small processing unit that we've set up. It is kind of in-house designed. You can see the 2 layers of heights that we've created, essentially to kind of make sure that that we didn't need to invest too much in automation upfront, but essentially the 2 levels of height kind of work in terms of being able to easily move around coffee without having to move things around too much. So all those drums that you see are tiltable, because of which it kind of feeds in automatically to the pulper or the washer, and because of the height, you're also able to collect it easily below. Like I said, we've processed about 2 tons. I think so far we've got good feedback this time. We showcased in World of Coffee as well. We've processed about 80% Robusta this time, but a well-processed Robusta. And interestingly, I think 7 on 10 people in Dubai who tasted it from the coffee community itself didn't realize it was actually a Robusta. They thought it was an Arabica coffee. Right, so that's kind of what we've done in terms of the processing so far. We do a little bit of small batch roasting internally, but we also partner. We work with Prajwal from Harmaki so far in terms of roasting some of the coffees that we've kind of produced. And finally, from a digitization perspective, at least our belief is a lot of digitization work is truly in terms of collection of data, because that's where the challenge is. So we've kind of built WhatsApp bots internally for our processing unit. So we capture details like this in the flow. And what you see on the right hand side is essentially that all the coffees that we've processed comes with this kind of digital traceability. And you kind of scan that QR code, it lands on our media website, where you can also read more about the estate and more about the coffee itself. Right. So that's, I think, broadly the 3 buckets of work that we're doing at So Coffee. I think in general, at least it's my belief that, as a founder, the first thing that you need to answer is really like, why are you working on, or what's your right to be working on this business? And hence, we are fundamentally, like I said, tech oriented. And I think in a lot of ways, I'm just playing to the strength of what I've done before. So at the intersection of content, technology, and coffee, I think is where So Coffee is operating. And what you're seeing here, I think, is not where we are today, but where we want to be. But essentially, if you look at the back end, you'll see like there is a coffee grower with a lot of data around what are some of the nuances of the grower, right? Or the wash robusta that you see on the bottom right is about the coffee. So we are thinking in terms of how do we really make this tech enabled. But like I said, it's a long journey, and I think we're at very nascent stages of it. I think the other thing which we're clear about is we are for purpose, but we're also for profit. And this, I think, are broadly the 3 or 4 kind of areas that we are focused on. How do we increase the grower income by 10 to 15%? And our model really is we buy ripe coffee and we process it ourselves, right? So that's the model in which we're going to continue, because then you have control over the processing entirely. I'll just give a small example of this, the second point, which is agricultural to end product grower. So last year when we processed our coffee, one of our coffees got rated as, I think, 83 or 84. And I just kind of sent a screenshot of that to my father on WhatsApp. And the only question that he asked me was, how do you kind of increase the score for the next year? And I think that's what we kind of mean by agricultural to end product. For most small growers, because you've been selling in the local market, it's only when we move to the end product and get feedback like this would we be kind of have the tools to even say, so what do we do to improve this? And that's kind of what one of our objectives is. And we spoke about content and how do we kind of build the brand, because brand creates a larger market, which is good for So Coffee as well as everybody else who's processing good coffee, right? this is quickly a brief about the team. I think Pratiksha already gave a little about my background. We're a very small team. We're 3 full-time members in addition to me. Kunal kind of takes care of a lot of operational stuff. Pooja is also Your Story, my colleague from Your Story in the past, takes care of content, and Soumya is from the engineering team, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my end. I'll kind of stop, and if there are any questions, happy to kind of take it now.
Yeah, good morning, Karam. This is Praveen here. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Good to connect. How are you?
Yes, doing good. So today we have a few students from HKBK Engineering College as well attending your webinar right from our office. Some
Okay.
of them are having ideas related to coffee and other food processing as well.
Yeah.
So maybe we will have the question answer session at the end. So there is one more speaker. So we'll finish off his session. Then we will have
Okay.
a combined Q&A. I hope that should be fine with you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you. Yeah, team, you can admit the next speaker so they can start it. I think, Tony, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'll just share my screen. 1 second.
Okay. Welcome, Tony. You can continue.
I hope the screen is visible.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
sir.
visible. You can start.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this program. I'm very happy that you have invited me for this program. So, my name is Tony, and I am the founder of Chica Coffee Roasters and Flex Protein Go and Rampa Filter Coffee. So, I'll just go through what we do here at Chica and how we are different from other cafes, especially in specialty coffee. And after that, I'll take your Q&As and how to set up. So my total presentation will be from the cafe concept size. So it will not be as technical as what the first speaker has said. So this is the concept is what I'm talking about. So Chica, if you see here, Chica, where we derived from the word Chikmagalur, and our whole concept is as a coffee collective where we try to promote different origin-based coffees. If you see the first slide, so where we call it a collective, where we source a lot of coffee beans from origins from Coorg or Arpu, Chikmagalur, Odisha, that is from Koraput. So we give our customers a preference of how different coffee tastes from different origins. So that is the basic concept of our brand Chica. If you see our where Chica has also been derived from the
Excuse
word.
me, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Can you hear me now?
can you expand your screen, sir?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, but if you can put the presentation on the full screen, what would be clear, sir?
Okay, sure. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if this is okay. Yeah, if it's on full screen.
No, it is not actually, sir.
Okay. 1 second.
Full screen also.
So I think there's some problem. Is it okay if I continue with this? I put it on screen, full screen, but it's not showing on
Yeah,
full
you
screen.
Yes,
can
sir.
continue, Tony. You can just change the slides as per
Okay.
instead of going to full screen mode. Yeah, continue.
Sure. Thank you. So that is the whole concept. And if you see our logo also, we've got this logo designed from a vernal hanging parrot, which is the basic origin of Chikmagalur, sitting on a coffee bean. So I'm going to talk about basic introduction, the cafe concept, then what is majorly required in our cafe, like customer service, quality, and marketing. So these are the basic things which I'm going to cover in this presentation. So if you see our cafe, it's mostly designed like an old school style of work, but like a Chettinad style of design, where we use a lot of terracotta, warm interiors for our space. So we used a lot of water fountains. We used a lot of plantations inside the cafe. But subjected, we also use a lot of modern equipment like a Probat roaster. We used editing from Switzerland. So all that. So to make sure that quality of our coffee is not subjected compared to our interiors of the restaurant. So if you see over here on the left side where this is basic interiors, it's outside seating, which is a 40-20 seater we have outside,
Excuse
and
me,
we have
Ravi.
a hello.
Can you change the slide? Actually, we are in the second slide now.
Okay. Is it done?
Yeah,
No,
Tony,
sir.
better you exit from the full screen mode at your system. Just manually change the slides. Yeah.
Is it done
Now it's
now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you see the interiors, like the entrance of our cafe, so we have a very old school pillars. We have an upcycled 100-year-old door, which we got it from from Chettinad origin. So we use a lot of upscale. We use a lot of old deteriorated items when we've tried to reuse old products. So upcycling also one is also a part of our concept. And if we come to the interiors of our cafe, so if you see, we've used a lot of Chettinad style of tiles for our counters. Then we have two different coffee machines. Sorry, we have one coffee machine and two different grinders. And one is for manual grinding and one for espresso. So the whole idea and concept, as I told you, it's very old school style. The moment you come inside the cafe, you feel like you're not part of the modern, like, because Hyderabad itself is a very, IT oriented, a lot of glass buildings all over, like 40 floors, 50 floors. So it is completely, if you see the concept, it's very different from the outside world. So that is the difference, is what we wanted to bring in to our cafe. So, as I said, then we are a roaster first as a cafe, because we also have invested quite heavily on a Probat roaster, and we do a lot of cupping while we procure our coffee beans. And this whole space has been designed with a centralized kitchen of 1,200 square feet, where we also are planning to open 4 new smaller spaces, like a spoke model, hub and spoke model, where this is our hub and the spokes will get supported by the main restaurant. And if you see our menu has been designed very specifically with specialty coffee in mind. And we also have South Indian food for our restaurant. That is the concept we have. And in a restaurant business, visual presentation and quality of food is paramount. When you see or taste anything, so first you always see with your eye and then you taste. So that is the concept, is what we follow. So if you see over here, we have an iced roast latte, which is served in an Italian glassware. That is with a proper presentation of dry rose petals on it. If I go to the other slide, so then we have, if I compare food with coffee, so our revenue is always like 50-50. We get revenue from 50% of coffee and 50% from food. That is what we've realized. Initially, we thought we'll get a revenue from coffee more and food, but it's almost equal in number. So if you see here, this is a butter chicken risotto, where butter chicken is South Indian and risotto is continental. So we fusioned both the items and combined together like a South Indian fusion. So our complete menu that follows a South Indian fusion concept. And if I come back to the next slide, so for running a restaurant business, these are the main, customer services also makes a very, very important role. See, ultimately, we are in a service-based industry. So we look at things very differently compared to a manufacturing industry. So especially in cafes or restaurants, the moment someone walks in, our staff are very well trained how to smile and how to give them the eye contact. Then the moment a new customer walks in, you give them the menu with a proper explanation, what we are, what kind of coffees we do, what fusion food we have, and also if there's anything seasonal. Generally every 3 months there's a fruit season which happens. Now the mango season is happening. Now when winters come, the sitafal comes. Then again when December comes, then the strawberries come. So this seasonal specific also, it's very important to keep customers hooked to your restaurant. There's always something happening. So that that festive mode, even like during festivals like a Christmas is coming, then we do the Christmas decoration. Now almost all festivals are completed, but every festival we do a decoration to the whole cafe to give that proper ambience, and there's always some vibe happening in our cafe. So these are some very important, when if you're planning to set up a cafe, these are very important to consider during your research. So coming to coffee, as I said, cup score, is very important for our quality of coffee. Then second is the freshly roasted advantage of having a roaster in house. We roast every 2 to 3 days, and once it is roasted, we rest it for 7 days and then use it. So filter coffee is also one major seller. In fact, at our place, filter coffee is the most sold product compared to cappuccino. So I don't know, it's probably the vibes or people around, because we also live in an upscale area, where we do a lot of promotions about filter coffee. So, and that is how we have trended in our industry, especially even in Google, if you search, specialty coffees of Hyderabad, we probably will come around on second or third position, even though we've just completed exactly a year of operations. And also the food, if I say kitchen is also managed, we have around 25 members team, 25 employees working in a restaurant, because it's a very labor intensive and capital intensive, like cafe business is like that. So that is the reason a lot of people do not really go, like they set up a smaller spaces, but they do not go into larger spaces because of the investment which gets involved in it. Next is the FSSAI regulations. These are very important when running a cafe, like quality of stock, daily inwards. We get daily inwards of chicken, mutton, fish. Every day is, supply send us to it freshly. And we keep this in control, like every day, like there's a group where the head chef or the kitchen head posts that this is what required. Then there's a store manager who manages. We have a dry storage area also in the kitchen, where if I show you the next picture, you'll find this is our kitchen, how neat and clean we try to maintain in this. So, and then pest control is also one major task in kitchen regulation or FSSAI regulations. And with expiry date, like every week there's a pest control which happens, and a deep clean also happens to the kitchen, along with because gravies and all are always made 2 to 3 days in advance, where to keep our the moment some order comes, within 7 to 10 minutes is what our target time, so that no customer is waiting during peak time. And so that all the gravies have expiry dates like 3 days to 5 days, depending what kind of a gravy it is, which is actually used in our final product. So these are some very important things we have to consider. A major thing where when you start a restaurant business, because this is nowadays with FSSAI newer, quality checks and all, this has become even more stricter. So coming to investment for our space, it was on the higher side. It went about, I think, 2 CR to 2.5 CR with also the probata investment, because that also is a higher side. But thanks to Atal Incubation, we did receive a subsidy for the roaster, which I'm very thankful to them, and also Mr. Praveen, who helped me with all the application process. So that was one advantage, having incubation center or someone always hand holding you, even a mentor. Sonali Menon is the Tata Coffee executive director. She's our mentor. So she calls up every 2-3 days or 4 days, and she regularly asks what's happening, do more innovations, and she always pushes you to your limit. So that is also one advantage, having a mentor, a senior most person, while running something very different, is what I say. So if you see here, our general trends of sales are mostly weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, our sales double. We did break even on the first year. We thought we could do it in 6 months, but we couldn't. We just did a break even, operations break even, this after exactly a year. And we see our ROIs coming from the second year, because, as I said, it's a very capital intensive market. It's not that I would not, discourage anyone to not go into, but there are always, MSME loans, or, like the coffee board or the subsidies always available. So even over here, we've taken an MSME loan of 1 CR. So it's not anything from our pocket that we've invested so much money from our personal pockets. But you also have to do your own research, like what government policies are there, what subsidies are there for you to set up something like this. So that will definitely help you in setting up, with a higher investment cafe. It's not that you have to do with a higher investment. You can also start very small with 10-20 lakhs. Also, you can start a cafe. But this is something very different from the market, is what we have decided. And coming to staff training, baristas are very important for your coffee, because they're the paramount in giving the best quality cup. Also, brewing techniques are very important in giving the manual brews. We get a lot of manual brew orders. Also, we have, as I said, we have different origin-based coffees. So, like baristas are very well trained in giving a good quality cup. It's the same wise. Likewise, the kitchen is headed by a executive chef, where he handles around 8 to 10 people in the kitchen, where he's majorly responsible for the kitchen, or the food coming out from the kitchen. So everywhere we have SOPs in place, where if something goes wrong, what is that we have to do. We can always go back to the inch of the track record, like when the raw material has arrived, what time, what temperature, what was the weight, what price it. All this is trackable. So those systems have been put in place, including the recipes we have. They're all being standardized. For example, if the executive chef has left, so we as owners of cafe business are always think, oh, now what we're going to do. So that is why all our recipes, including the coffee, have been standardized, where it can simply, with the booklet, we call it the Bible of our chica, where we have all the recipes, including as per the gram. Once even 0.1 gram also is measured in that and kept, so that is passed on to the next chef, or the head barista, who can replicate all the drinks, so that our customers are pretty sure that there is no change in the recipe. So because we as owners, we don't taste food, but they're always regular customers. They can, in a jiffy, they can say, oh, there's change in the recipe. So that will always degrade or downfall your restaurant business. So to mitigate that, we always have to be very sure that the right recipe is always followed, regardless number of kitchen team or staff keep changing. And this happens. It's not that, because restaurant business is a very labor intensive business, and people do change every 6 months, a year. If they don't like a place, they always jump to other. That is also one major thing in handling a restaurant business, because staff management also is very important. So this is the overall of our Chica cafe, or the restaurant which we run. And coming to, I would say, if you have any questions, you can please ask me. We also have other businesses where, which is not related to coffee, but we are setting up one more new outlet called Rampa Filter Coffee, where it's an old house where we've taken, where it's around 6,000 to 8,000 square feet, where we're setting up like an old, if you go to a village, how the whole atmosphere will be. So that kind of a concept is what we are working right now. And I think hopefully in 4 months time, this place also should be ready, where we call it as at Rampa Filter Coffee. So thank you everyone. If you have any questions, please do ask. I'm very happy to respond.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, for the brief presentation. I'm happy to know that a lot of progress have been made since last 1.5 year, and we're proud to say that you're one of our incubating startups, and definitely look forward to visit your cafe in Hyderabad whenever I'm there.
Sure,
Okay,
sure, please.
so now, yeah, so now I want the participants to ask relevant questions. So, participants who have joined online, they can raise their hands so that coordinators will admit you to ask question. Okay, we have Ratin Somnath. Yeah, Ratin, please unmute yourself. You can ask the question to the speakers.
Sure. I had a few questions. First to, I think, Mr. Tony only. Uh,
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. So basically, Mr. Tony, if you can just elaborate on what sort of assistance was available from Atil Incubation Center for this cafe. I know you mentioned Probat Roaster. There was subsidy related assistance. If you can just
Yeah.
throw some light on all the assistance which you received and how did it help you for the cafe, please?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So Atal Incubation Center was a major player because I've actually learned coffee roasting from the incubation center, from where they have a small, I think, 1 kilo. Where during that time there was a different, there were different staff members, but they were very helpful in training on coffee roasting, and also the application procedure, different types of subsidies they have available. If you're doing a cafe, what kind of subsidies you can get for a roaster or a grinder. So this was given by them. So that incubation center itself was very helpful, because the quality, like we used to roast coffees, then give it to the quality lab in the fifth floor, where I think Mr. Mandapa sir used to cup the coffees and give us a report. Then he used to give us a feedback also, like if you roast it maybe this way, the quality of the coffee will increase. Or so that was very helpful in doing a very, from initial steps of like not really knowing anything of coffee and then running a business with 25 employees is very growing from, this is not like overnight thing. So I think I've joined at incubation in 2022, but we've started the restaurant in 2023, and now it's 24, and so it's like almost 3 years journey is what we've been with the center. So this is something I think everybody should take advantage of the incubation center.
On that Probat roaster which you had mentioned, Mr. Tony,
Yeah.
what was the cost of the roaster, if you can throw some light, and if what was the subsidy which the center had?
So yeah, so my sister is the main partner as a woman entrepreneur. So she has a major share in our cafe. So we've put in the application as a woman entrepreneur, where you can get a subsidy of up to 10 lakh rupees on the roster. But I think with the budget constraints, they have given me a subsidy of around 6.5 lakh, not fully. So this is what was given to me.
Sure. And you mentioned break even after first year and ROI from second year on a 2.5
Yes.
crore investment.
Yeah.
If you can just explain what do you mean by break even? Break even is in terms of profit, is it, or in
Yeah.
terms of
So,
profit?
okay. So I would say break even is like operations break even, where our expenses versus our sale are equal, or we've started going into profitability, because I've also have a 1 CR MSME loan, which we've, during the break even period also, we have paid the loan of approximately 20 lakhs. If I consider that, we've probably break even in 7th month or 8th month. So now we are looking at profitability. That is where we are. And with the 2.5 crore investment, I would say, because we are also paying the loan back, so I think from the third year onwards, we should get our returns of our, because cafe business is very profitable once you break even. Till then, you have to struggle, you will burn money. So it's not something everybody can do. But you also have to get into this industry only when you know at least you have money for a year to sustain, because a lot of people, they give up hope in the third month or sixth month because your overheads are very high, your operations costs are very high. So I would suggest everyone to have at least a year's worth of money and keep pushing yourself. And you have to be very innovative because it's a very cluttered market. Like even now in specialty coffee, every other street, if you see in upscale areas in Hyderabad, like even not only in Hyderabad, I would say in Bangalore, Mumbai, a lot of specialty coffees open up, but they truly don't know what specialty coffee is. That is where, it's like a fancy word to these new spaces. So I would always say you should, do your background research, really know what your coffee is, or else you cannot, unless you have the knowledge, you cannot dictate your knowledge to your staff. So they will take you very lightly. So these are something, you should be, the major, pin maker in a business. So or else it's very easy to lose money in a restaurant. Like I would say how you lose money is very easy. Like, in the kitchen, like 8 people are working. So you have chicken, mutton, fish, all of these things coming on a daily basis. Let's say, a lot of, maybe there's 40,000 or 50,000 sale, but the consumption of mutton or chicken is more than your sale. So it's like there are leakages, like your staff will be eating them. It's not that they intentionally do, but obviously when there is food around, they get tempted and they eat. So that is also a leakage in your restaurant. The same with just not with a lot of fruits. We get a lot of exotic fruits. So let's say 2 juices are sold, but they make 4 juices and 2 juices are consumed by themselves, and 2 are only sold. So you always, every day we do a tracking. So every day, like the storekeeper tracks the sale versus the purchase or the consume. So every day, like the store issues the chicken and mutton to the kitchen. So we have a central store where they write record like this much has been issued to the kitchen. So we track it back. The moment our cost is going up, let's say we keep a food cost of 25. Right now our food cost is around 28% and coffee is around 20%. So if our food cost is going about 30%, we have cameras. We have around 16 cameras in the restaurant. Even there's always a chance that these things happen, and it does happen. So this is a leakage. The moment you also, let's say you do a turnover of 20 lakhs also, but in restaurant business, you will never make a profit unless you keep these things in control. So if this answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Tony, for throwing light on this.
Sure,
I
thank you.
actually had 2 questions for Karum also, if Karum is online.
Hi, Mr. Somnath.
Hi, Karum. Just 2 quick ones.
Yeah.
Thank you for throwing light on the processing that So Coffee is doing, which is fantastic. I just wanted to know if for processing, right, if small estates can reach out to you and you will sort of assist them. Is that how the model is currently placed with So Coffee today?
Yes, absolutely. The model is exactly that, because it also doesn't make sense for us as a small grower to be doing this. So we want to be like a platform and that's why I use technology to make processing scalable and then be able to work with a lot of small farmers, small estates. So this time we worked with about 4 estates. The plan for next year is how do we process from 2 tons to 20 tons and maybe work with about 10 estates. But eventually, if we have a smart factory, then can we be working with 1,000, 2,000 estates with the ability to create high quality coffee at scale?
Understood. So I am an estate in Chikmagalur. I think
Okay.
you would be based out of Coorg.
We're based out of Coorg.
Yeah. So is it? Do you work with estates in Chikmagalur, or is it currently focused around Coorg?
Happy to, we can have a conversation and figure it out. I think the only challenge will really be the logistics. If we are able to manage logistics, then we don't have any such, restrictions per se.
Understood. And
But we can connect on this, Mr. Somnath, and figure it out.
Sure. I also noted that you mentioned a roaster you're working with, but I
Yeah.
couldn't catch his name while you mentioned it.
So far, for the specialty coffees, we're working with Prajwal from Harmaki Coffee.
Okay.
I can again share his contact, and I think he also works very closely with Coffee Board and the AIC team.
Yeah,
But happy to
that's
share his contact if needed.
Yeah, no, I couldn't catch the name initially, so I was just curious. I made a note.
Got it.
But thank you so much. I will definitely sort of reach out to you offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, Praveen, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ratin. If you have any specific questions or any support is required, definitely you can reach out to us. And my team will drop our email ID and phone numbers in the chat box by end of the webinar. Okay. Yeah. So others who have any questions, please raise your hands. Okay, Ms. Gayatri, you can go ahead. You can ask your question.
Hi. My question is to Tony. You mentioned you have an investment for 2.5 CR. I wanted to understand what all it includes. The land, the entire infrastructure, or the equipment. So how can you just give a rough idea on that? You are on mute.
Yeah. When I said 2.5 CR, because we also we've taken a property for lease. Majority of part goes around 6 months deposit for your rental. So rentals comes around, around 10% of our, complete expenses. Because rentals, especially in Hyderabad, in upscale area, rents start anywhere between 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs rupees. So that is one major, your major investment will also go to your deposit, which is refundable, obviously. And we also take a long-term lease agreements around 7 to 9 years, which are very important because once you invested so much money, you don't want your landlord, there's some issue, they tell you to, vacate. So that generally shouldn't happen. So you always make sure you register your lease agreement and make sure there is a lock-in clause, not more than 2 years, I would suggest. That is one major share. And second, we've invested quite heavily on coffee machines. Like, as I said, the Probat is expensive because we see this as a very long-term investment because we're also starting a filter coffee brand. That same machine will help us, roast coffee for our other brands also, where eventually we will try to take this retail of that low cost brand. So if I say coffee equipment with the roaster had cost us around anywhere between 70 lakhs because we also have a manual grinder called Ritting, which we got in, I think it's made in Switzerland. So that was again the suggestion when, as I said, from Sunalini Menon, like she's very particular about the things what you put. And she herself, like we would have probably see no, like founders would want to invest so much money when they know it is too risky. We always take calculated risks. But I would say Sonali Menon is the lady who pushed me like, no, I want this. And she made it that happen. So if that would have not done, she would have not pushed me, I would have not bought a Probat because in our project report also it was just a basic roaster like a Chikmagalur main Mukambika roaster, which we put it in our project report while submitting the bank. And she made sure you change that to a Probat. So that was her decision. So I say 70 lakhs has gone through our machines because with the espresso machine, the grinders, then the brewing equipment, the under counters. Then I think around 20 lakhs went to our kitchen setup because I said this is a central kitchen. You don't need a central kitchen because this is a long-term plan is what we've said because we're planning to form a smaller kiosk model where the food and the bakery would go from the central kitchen. That's how we plan. And the rest would go, I would say 1 CR would go for the interior, like the civil construction of the whole space because you only get bare shell structure. So you have to do your interiors end to end from the flooring to roofing, false ceiling, furniture. A lot of investment goes. So I think around 30 lakhs plus 30 to 40 lakhs has gone for the civil construction, and the rest would, I would say, furniture and ancillary equipment, and the rest would be working capital. Obviously you need our break even is around 12 lakh rupees, so you need at least for 6 months is what we've subjected kept, but that has dragged till at least a year. So that is also one major, you need that much of money to break even because a lot of people, as I said before, they give up very quickly. But generally, as I personally don't give up that easily. I always try to push myself, see what can be done or what innovative things. And this is one major thing I think all the young entrepreneurs should learn, to not give up that quickly. But failure is also part of any business. I would not say it is not. So that is also you need to consider. When actually it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Then you have to shut and always, find a new alternative. So this is what I've learned in the past 10 years. So
Yeah, thanks. So you mentioned we should have a stash of 1 year working capital. So in that context, can you give a rough idea on the monthly expenses we would be incurring, subject to the working capital
So,
also?
yeah, so it all depends on what capacity your cafe or restaurant is. So now we are a 80-seater with a central kitchen. Our overheads are very higher, but I'm not saying the same overheads will are valid to a smaller space. So with a 20-seater counter, like with just bakery and coffee also is a good model where your operations will not be more than 3 or 4 lakh rupees. So if I say maybe you have to have around at least a year, maybe 30 lakhs as working capital, which you can help you in the next 1 year. So it is depends on the operations. As we have around 25 employees, our operations are around our monthly expenses are around 12 lakhs per month.
Okay, got it. Yeah. One last question. How did you get associated? Because I agree, you should have some innovation in your Kochika coffee to get associated with the Atal Incubation Center. So just I'm curious to know what was the innovations you have incorporated?
Okay. So regarding the innovation, as I said, fusion food is something very different than coffee. Presentation, how you present your coffee, the cup score, like not everybody. We have a lot of Indian based. We have Coca-Cola cold brew. Then we have masala cold brew. All these are Indianized versions of more Italian, I would say. So these innovations were done, in the coffee lab itself. Like during the, they have a training center with the coffee lab where everything is there. You have a roaster, you have a cupping table, then you have all the fridges, freezers are there. Where that was the initial where we did a lot of recipe development, as that helped us with no external investment, because 2022 when I started I didn't have anything like but that has given, because Atal Incubation Center also has a running cafe where you can understand how a cafe concept would work out. Like if you see their cafe concept room, they have an automated machine, they have ice chiller, they have ice machine, all that are there. So that actually gives you some certain ideas how a basic cafe can be set up. A cafe can be set up like a counter, or a small coffee counter can be set up even with 10 lakh rupees. It's not that you have to invest such heavily, as I'm telling you again and again. It can be done even with 10 lakhs with very less investment. Uh, so that it's up to the founders or the new entrepreneurs, how what capacity they're looking at, what long term goals they have, and what are the budget constraints they have. So it all depends on your personal thing, what scale you want to do a project.
Yeah. Staffing, one last question, sorry. How could you do the staffing of baristas and the entire kitchen team?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Yeah. Curious to know, like, how did you go about the staffing of the baristas, the experts, the roasters? How could you get leads to staff employees you have in Chica Roasters?
Okay, so yeah, that's a very good question. So since I said we have SOPs in place, we have hired a lot of consultants who are already working in this industry. Like we had coffee, we didn't hire anyone because I've already done. I was researching about coffee. We didn't hire any coffee consultant, but some people do. We had a food consultant. We had an interior designer. We had a kitchen consultant. Then we had architect who designed the whole space. Then we had a furniture consultant. So we did pay when I said it is costing a 2.5 or 2, anywhere between that. So we did pay quite heavily to these consultants so that we don't have this failure rate very quickly. So that is one reason. I would say you always hire expert people. Like in coffee, we have Sonali Menon as a main mentor. So these people will help you. It's not that some people think, why should I pay a consultant? They're just basically designing a kitchen. So a lot of people will go to a commercial kitchen place and they just buy what they want. So, but if you want to do it properly, so a lot of planning. As I said, we did a 3-year planning to set up a restaurant in 3 months. So that was the research we have gone through. So I would always say the proper planning will help you. Your failure rate will reduce your failure rate to nil. I would to say to 0 or nil. So always have proper people, these experts in place when you're doing something different or you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. That's a lot of thank you.
Sure, welcome.
One more thing.
From-
It's a note to Mr. Karum sir. I'll be getting in connection with you after I get the contact details. We are a small time coffee planters in Sakleshpura, so hope we can associate for the next coming year.
Sure, ma'am. Sounds good. Please do.
So, any more questions from the participants?
Yeah, I'm giving Narendra here. Hi, Tony. I'm very happy to hear your story, and thanks for sharing all kind of gone through it and making aware of what all the hurdles we face for starting a new coffee shop. So again, once again, I'm myself Narendra. So I'm basically an MSME consultant. So as you rightly said, consultants and expertise people will guide you very clearly. With my success story, I would like to share one small thing with everybody. So recently, we have done a loan sanction under MSME scheme, under Stand Up India scheme. We got a big green cafe for women entrepreneur around 96 lakhs for all kind of and another franchise unit of the Beat Cafe itself, nearly 2.28 crores. We got them sanctioned, we hit them out to get all fundings and subsidies benefits also. So this is a small intro about it. So thank you.
Okay, that's very nice to hear.
Any questions?
Yeah. Sir, today we have with us a few of the young aspiring entrepreneurs as well from HKBK College, students of HKBK Engineering College. And
Yeah, they've been very quiet. I'm just thinking like everybody's quiet and just thinking and listening. So I'm looking at them. They should be very active. Like I think you should give them some coffee.
No, it's
They'll
already
become
been served initially. Yeah, they have actually a few questions from their end. So, yeah, you can go with the questions, please. Should we come there? Yeah, he can answer.
Yeah, Mr. Jaydev, we are not able to hear you. See if you can post your questions in the chat box if there is any connectivity issue.
Praveen sir, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is to Mr. Rohan. I saw on your Instagram that you are like a home roaster, which is kind of on the path I am too. And I would like to know what roaster you're using. Like I was looking for the RUO small one. I got in touch with 2 people like for 1 kg or 2 kg roasters. But how well is like the machine
Should I introduce myself or directly? Very good.
Share the questions for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started with the Ikawa, the 100-gram home roaster, and
Okay.
I think in the beginning again it was a lot of like taking some risks and So I actually got it imported from I think from UK directly. So a friend was traveling, carried it for me so that it became a little cheaper. I think the Ikawa was a great roaster to start because it actually doesn't need too much of skill. It's fairly automated. So in the app, you can start with some of the inbuilt recipes and then kind of progress forward. So I learned a lot of my, I would say, very early fundamentals on it. Uh, and beyond the point, of course, 100 grams is not enough to do anything meaningful, and it is too automated for you to learn about roasting. So then I wanted to migrate to the next roaster, and I migrated to the Alio Bullet. The reason I chose the Bullet was a combination of things. It's a reasonably manual roaster in that sense that you have enough controls on drum speed, fan speed, temperature, etc. And also it's affordable. So again, I imported the roaster directly from Taiwan. Again, I think it's not recommended because in case you have an issue, then servicing becomes a problem. But because it was more of a home roaster, not a commercial setup as such, I again took the chance and imported the roaster directly, which again, it ends up becoming about, I think, I would say 10-15% cheaper. So I think my landed cost would have been about 3.1 lakhs, if I'm not wrong. Right, in terms of the roasting of that. So right now I'm roasting on the 1 kg roaster, which is the Bullet. In terms of price point and the capacity it has, I think it's a good roaster. Of course, there are much better roasters for 1 kg, but it'll probably be like at least 3 to 4x more expensive.
Okay, so when I was doing like the SWOT analysis for like getting machineries from like roasters from Vietnam or Taiwan,
Yeah.
with respect to Alio and the ones available in India,
Yeah.
the one point where Alio stood out was like the the community they have with the recipes and stuff. That
Yeah.
was the only thing that was beneficial because I'm not really a roaster. I'm not from the coffee industry. I'm a civil engineer, so I'm
Sure.
learning about this. And there is a lot of activity on the Alio community where people can guide you, and they're more than happy to like help you out with different varieties of coffee that we will try, give you some guidance. How about that aspect? Like not just the roastery, but the community around it who can teach you something about it.
Yeah, no. So I think the community is good. In fact, they have this software called the Roast, and the Roast has again a community where you can ask questions and people respond. But what I also figured is, so even I wasn't a roaster. I mean, I'm a self-taught roaster in that sense. I do a lot of research on the technicalities of it, but I've learned that you learn the most by doing. So I think the best thing to do is to jump in, get access to some green coffee, start roasting. You will ruin a bunch of batches, but at the end of it, you will start understanding the technicalities and what drives flavor, even the technicality of how does the curve of the roast go, etc., only by doing. So my suggestion is, of course, there are a lot of courses as well, but I think a combination of courses, and I think Coffee Board also has a course called, sorry, I forget the name, but I think there's a course which is focused completely on roasting, if I'm not wrong. So in addition, you can probably take that course because that course is affordable, and I've done a couple of courses with Coffee Board, not the roasting one, the other courses. But also, I think if you have a roaster, if you're planning to buy a roaster, the best thing is to just start doing, making mistakes and learning along the way.
Sure. One more question. So when we are a small scale roaster,
Yeah.
how do we secure a supply chain for like, let's say throughout the year? I don't just want to be a roaster. I also want to start a cafeteria in my hometown, just dedicating to specialty coffee.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've noticed, or the one thing that I've learned from people, is securing like single estate coffee or specialty coffee beans throughout the year can be difficult. So how do you establish a supply chain? Do you have a forward contract in place or something? Do you buy per month, per week, based on demand, quarterly, or how does it go?
So actually, in my case, and maybe Tony might be better placed to answer from a demand perspective. In my case, because I'm more supply oriented, I am, let's say today, working with a 1 kg roaster because my eventual objective is I will roast my own coffee in a larger roaster. So I'm more in the process of learning, sampling, getting feedback, and doing small orders on the roast that I do. For anything which is significantly larger in roast, I work with some other roaster and get my coffee roasted. In terms of supply, I'll tell you what I started with earlier. Now, of course, I have access to coffee because we process it ourselves. But earlier, there was this platform called Total. If I'm not wrong, it's owned by, I think, one of the larger coffee companies. I don't know if it's Benki or someone else. So they used to sell a lot of green beans. So I know there are 1 or 2 platforms in India where you can actually buy green beans in small volume. So Total was one. I don't know if Naivo also does it. At some point, I think they used to do it. So I started roasting on my Ikawa, buying green coffee from places like this. Second, if you would like to buy small quantities, you can reach out to me. Happy to supply some of the coffee that we have as well. In terms of forward contracting, in terms of what we roast, what I've seen is a lot of coffee shops are looking for unique coffees, right? So I remember 2 years back, there was this very small coffee shop also starting, but saying that, listen, I want coffees which are unique because always it's the same coffees which are there everywhere as specialty coffee. So can I buy that? So I think it'll take some hustle, but the good thing is there are coffee shops everywhere. I think just walking into some of these coffee shops, and if you're able to figure out some coffee shops just before they start, I think that's the point at which they're typically trying to, figure out and source their coffees. But also when it comes to manual brews, I've seen that most coffee shops are very open to explore, because manual brew is something which you can experiment, right? So in a week you can be serving a coffee and then probably change it the week after. Whereas when it comes to cappuccinos and your home blends, there isn't as much flexibility because all your recipes are kind of SOP'd on the back of that. So I would say that just reach out, and I think the whole story of I'm a home roaster is a great story. So people like it as long as the coffee is good. It's a good thing of saying that the founder himself is roasting it and supplying this coffee. But I think it boils down to that hustle of just reaching out, maybe putting yourself out there on social media. And I think in general, demand for good roasted coffee is on the rise right now.
Okay, follow-up question on this. Have you ventured into retailing out on your e-commerce or let's say Amazon?
Not yet. In fact, I don't plan to do it soon, because I feel like there are a lot of things that you have to be prepared for. For instance, in Amazon, should be ready to block your inventory, right? So you'll have to roast coffee and keep it with them in their warehouses to some extent. And of course, with roasted coffee, then it becomes a dilemma of, okay, how quickly can it sell? Will it go stale? And your capital also gets blocked. So as of now, I'm not looking at B2C, Amazon, Instamart, etc. The plan is at some point, maybe yes, but we do like more B2B at this point in time.
Got it. Thank you so much. My next question is for Tony sir.
Yeah, please tell me.
So basically, I just went through your menu.
Okay.
Excellent menu. It's really like luxurious for something to offer in a small town like my hometown. But I would like to know like how big of an impact does planning the menu have?
So, menu planning is quite important in running a restaurant business, because that is the core. The moment someone walks in, they look at your menu, and what price point is you're offering is also very important. Now, as I said, we are in upscale in Banjara Hills is where we located. So our rentals are higher. The people surrounding this area who spend on the higher side, and our operations costs are also on the higher side, so that's why our pricing is slightly higher. But if it is somewhere in a smaller town where your overheads are lesser, you can always price it pretty reasonable is what I would say.
Okay, and are you buying any parchment or just green beans?
So we are buying green beans, but we generally buy it, like we block the coffee at least 6 months before. Like now we've received around 300 kgs of RC, but we made the payment in the month of October itself. We have plantation friends, that also I've thanks to Coffee Board, I've got in contact with a lot of plantation people, and they've become very good friends of mine. So it's always like coffee industry, it's always like that. So because they get plantation people, they have whole year they work, they get very stressed out during the month of October, November, because your capital is very intensive, like you pay labor and all that. So that is where we roasters help them. For it's not that on interest basis or anything, it's as on a friendly manner. We give them, okay, in return, whenever the coffee is ready, they send 2 or 3 bags. So that's how we've been working. That has been very helpful for us, because we know we'll get a coffee for this whole year. And from the plantation, the planters also, they're also happy, interest free, they're also getting some funds. So we've been working in that model, and it has been absolutely fine. But it might not work with others, but it depends on how your contacts, your network is. That is very important in the coffee industry, because all the good coffees get sold very quickly. Then the moment you want your coffee, you will not get a good cup score. Like that's what is generally in the coffee industry.
Yes, sir. Sir, so I have one more question for you. The menu mentions you guys offer specialty single origin coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a blend. So is it a blend between Robusta and Arabica, or is it a blend between different origins?
No, it is a single origin blend. So let's say sometimes we blend, Arabica parchment and Arabica cherry also from the single origin. It depends. As I said again, these coffees are cupped by Sonali Menon. We even though I roast and I do again, she does the cupping, and she says you do this, and she doesn't charge us anything because she's still my mentor. That is the advantage. That is how we've been maintaining our quality of coffee also. The moment someone tries our cold coffees or iced coffees, they know it is very different from the other restaurants. Uh, we had a lot of people asking for coffee, but let's say I have 120 kgs of green beans left, which I want to serve good coffee at my restaurants. I would not sell my roasted coffee to others. Like, people come and ask, we want your coffee, but I said, sorry, I don't have stock. So that's how we've been. It's always you protect your business first and then say. So you have to be unique in your business, right? So that's how we've been operating. But filter coffee, we get a lot of orders. We do Chakori 70-30, 60-40. We have a whole filter coffee manufacturing line which we've set up, which I said it's a long-term plan, which we've done it now itself. So we sell around 50 to 100 kgs filter coffee, but it is very price sensitive. As I said, we don't make any profit out of it. It's just that it is just helping other people and getting more network connections is what we do that for.
Okay. So also your website mentions like the Atal Incubation Center and the coffee board is like an investor in the business. So
Mhm. Yeah. So
or investor as in like profit sharing.
no, there's no profit sharing.
Yeah, Tony, if you can admit me, I will answer this question.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay. I think I can give more clarity. Yeah, see, Atal Incubation Center will not act as an investor here. So we assist startups to raise funds in the form of grants, or we'll connect them with the investors, potential investors. So basically, we enable the startups to prepare the detailed project reports and pitch decks, and we create awareness about the different funding schemes, opportunities that are available for them, and whichever scheme, whichever program they are eligible for, they can apply in consent from our team. So that's the thing that we do. Directly, incubator will not come as an investor because we are not taking any stake in any of the startups that we have incubated. We are a no equity incubator. We don't take any equity also, and we will not charge any success fees also. Say suppose some startups raise funds through our support, we are not taking any success fees out of it. So whatever grants or whatever investment they raise, it is completely for them.
Got it, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah. Yes.
Lastly, I have one final question for Rohan, sir.
Yeah, his name is Mr. Karumbaya, not Rohan.
Oh, sorry. I think the Instagram gave me a wrong impression. My apologies. So, would you suggest?
That's also worries.
Sorry. Would you suggest me to go ahead with the alio, like just to experiment and learn to master the process of roasting and to taste the coffee and realize if it is good or if it is having some defects?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the Alio. Like I said, I think it's a function of at that price point you have no alternative. Second, I have roasted coffees which people have cupped and said it's actually come out really well, and it gives sufficient manual controls for you to like learn, which like or let's say a fully automated roaster will not give you, right? So I would completely what do you say recommend the Alio at that price point, at least based on research that I have done. In fact, like when we were in World of Coffee, I also saw there was an Indian company which was building a coffee roaster. So I don't know if there are any Indian alternatives in the price point, but I think at that price point of 3 to 3.5 lakhs, Salio is a great roaster.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Miss Anusha, do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is to
Yes.
Mr. Karun, sir.
Hi, Nishna.
Hi,
Please
sir.
tell me.
Sir, I'm planning to do something similar to what you're doing. I'm planning to set up this central processing unit near
Okay.
the farm level itself. So, can you throw some light on the financial aspects of the setup? And also, would you advise to set up a solar drying yard as well, along with this processing unit?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So I think, yes, I think if you're setting up a processing unit, then you have to, I think, so there are three parts to it. One is the processing itself. Second is the drying unit, because drying is a very, very integral part of processing coffee well. And third is your warehouse, the warehouse with sufficient ventilation and simple things like having the EcoTac bags, being able to store it properly. So I think all these three components are important. In terms of financials, I feel there's a wide spectrum of how you can go about it. Like we ended up spending about, I would say, about 35 lakhs for this whole thing. And I'll tell you the parts of it as well. A large part of it was the processing unit itself. Uh, we didn't go extensive in terms of construction. We've kept it very simple. But that whole structure of, like having that two-step layout probably would have costed about 3-4 lakhs. We went with machinery from Penagos mostly. But even that's a little bit of mix and match. Our main pulper and washer came from Penagos. A little bit of siphoning unit came from, again, Mr. Jairam, who supplies for Penagos. And we bought a green bean separator because as we were processing coffee, we realized that without having a machine for separating red and green, it was just humanly becoming a bottleneck over there. In addition to that, a lot of research on Google, IndiaMart, etc. We bought these vertical kind of conveyor machines, which we got from a vendor in Coimbatore called, I forget the name, I think it's called Protec, but happy to share the details if needed. So I would say that the processing unit with construction, etc., probably would have costed us about 15 to 18 lakhs. Sorry, I don't have the exact numbers right now. We set up a solar processing, like a drying yard, which and within which we have about, I think, 15 two-layer drying beds with some amount of automation that, that if the temperature and humidity go about a certain point, fans start operating, because otherwise it's just too much of variation both during the day and during the night in terms of what the coffee kind of goes through. So we set that up, which probably would have cost us about 2.5 to 3 lakhs. And in an existing warehouse that we had, we just did simple, like modifications of, like creating sufficient openings for airflow, having these wooden base pallets so that the coffee is not directly in what do you say, control, I mean, in touch with the ground, and then just investing in terms of packaging, having drums for fermentation, those kind of investments which came in. Our total investment will probably be about 30 to 35. I don't have the exact number right now. And again, we also applied for the PMFME loan, which got approved. So I think anything on this side is a great candidate for the Prime Minister's Food Processing Unit Wala scheme. I think banks are waiting to kind of approve and give these projects sanction for authentic projects. So I think that's something which you can definitely explore. It effectively comes to a 6% interest, and you also get like a subsidy of 10 to 15 lakhs, 10 lakhs from the central government and 5 lakhs from the state government.
Mr. Kamboy, may I ask a question? Sorry,
Sir,
go
just
ahead.
one follow-up question. So can you just throw some light on the steps taken to increase the the bean quality or the processed output? Like, have you taken some steps for that?
Yeah, so I think that some of the fundamentals are actually very simple but very difficult to execute. For instance, what is the bricks? What is the ripeness in your coffee when you are beginning your processing, right? Like I said, it's easier in Arabica, for instance, to do selective picking, but in Robusta, it's very challenging. And even when you do selective picking, then how ripe is the coffee? Is your coffee bricks, let's say, between 15 to 20, or is it between 18 to 22? Sweetness matters a lot, right? So just in terms of that hygiene of, can you start with ripe coffee? Is it 90% ripe? Is it 80% ripe? Or is it 100% ripe? Second, coffee when it comes is generally very dirty, right? So how do you have the method to kind of just clean the coffee, remove the stones, remove the floats, etc., so that the coffee then going into processing is actually high quality ripe coffee? Third, we've spent a fair amount of time on fermentations, experimenting with different fermentations. So we do like 24-hour fermentations to 72-hour fermentations with different, we've tried fruits in the past, we've tried yeast. So that's a constant, I would say, experiment, because there's so many variations even in your input. That's very difficult to, with a lot of consistency, say that I will be able to produce exactly the same coffee. So fermentation for us was important. Of course, washing, pulping, etc. are the standard processes. The next thing was drying. I think drying is super critical in terms of, do you have a setup where there's sufficient ventilation? Do you have some amount of control in terms of managing parameters? You can't do it because, of course, there's so much of variation in general in the around us. But to what best extent can you slow down drying to a certain extent? Can you create an environment where there's sufficient ventilation, control on temperature and humidity to some extent? And finally comes your whole packing. Once processed, once you hit your right moisture is super important. Ideally between 11 to 12% when you remove your coffee is what is recommended. But even that is sometimes difficult because of variations which happen. And, I prefer removing the coffee maybe at 13, 14 as opposed to it getting under dried, because under dried is difficult to reverse. And post as the last step, I think, is packaging. I use EcoTag bags, and EcoTag bags go inside gunny bags. But ensuring that it's packed and, really tightly, tight, and then is in a warehouse with good ventilation. I think these are fundamentals, and fundamentals are very difficult to follow.
You, sir.
I have a question for you. You talked about the PMFME loan
Yeah.
and the banks being ready to give the loan, which is correct.
Yeah.
But at a farm level, at an estate level, if you have to set up such a venture,
Yeah.
will it, in order to get all the trade licenses and FSSAI permissions, etc., which I assume is a mandatory thing from a PMFME loan, question to you is, would this be considered a commercial venture, or can it be done straight out on the kata of the estate?
Got it. So I'll tell you what my understanding of this is, Ms. Krishna, that I think if you're going to buy coffee from multiple estates, then it will have to be a commercial venture. Currently, we've done it as a commercial venture, but I don't have that clarity because this time we've bought it from 4 different estates. My understanding is that you can do it on, if it's only your estate's coffee that you're processing it, you can do it. I don't know if technically it's kata what you mentioned, but it doesn't need to be a commercial venture, because even PMFME as a loan, from what I understand, can be in an individual name or can be in a company's name. So we've taken it as a private. I mean, we haven't yet got it. It's approved by the DRP. That's still going through bank process. But we've applied as a private limited for the PMFME loan. But initially, the conversation was around taking the loan in my individual name, because we
Okay.
wanted it to come under the company. Was why we chose this path.
Yeah, in this case, it is my estate, my coffee, but I have been asked to convert a small piece of land into commercial, which I'm finding very difficult to do. So I don't know.
So I mean, sorry, land conversion to commercial, I haven't done. The steps that we took is, and we had a little bit of hiccup because even I wasn't aware of what all is needed. But the hiccup was I initially needed a panchayat license. The land is actually within our home in Coorg, so it's in my mom's name. So I have an authorization letter from her, based on which the local panchayat gave us a permission. Ideally, you also need like a fire license, and I think the pollution board license for it. But this time, because we were doing it at a small scale, only for a month or two, we kind of got these licenses, but got it for a very short period of time. So for next year, when we plan to do like the 20 tons, I'm planning to work on it a lot earlier so that these licenses are completely in place. But yeah, we didn't go through the process of conversion, land conversion.
I can only request the coffee board and the authorities on this panel to please throw some clarity for all of us on the licensing part, how we get the trade licenses, how we get the FSSAI, what are the other licenses, like Ms. Karma just pointed out, Pollution Control Board and so on and so forth, because these come as surprises once you're going through the whole thing, and then there's one little piece that is a delay factor.
Let's proceed with the questions from students.
My message was out to the coffee pot specifically. I hope it's registered, even though there's no answers coming out.
Okay. Anyway, we'll just check with them, sir. You can do one thing, sir. You can drop us an email regarding the same. We'll forward it to the concerned department or the concerned officials, and we'll get back to you on this, sir. Definitely.
I will do that. Thank you.
So, yes, sir. So our students are actually waiting for their questions. Yes, please.
A question for Mr. Rose. So, as you mentioned, that a customer picture the food that you deliver. I mean, they make sense in seeing and then ordering the food. So, feedback from you that would for a prototype food that you are giving based on the text.
So voice is not audible.
Yeah, I couldn't hear your question.
1 minute. You can take it a bit closer. No problem. You can take this.
Always looks for a picture of the food in the menu or anything.
Sir, hope you are able to hear us.
Yeah. So what I could understand from your question is like how pictures or photographs make a major role in ordering
My
food. Is that correct?
question is, as you mentioned, that a customer always first sees a picture in the menu
Yeah.
before ordering the food.
Yes.
So my question is, would you prefer a prototype of the exact food that you are delivering, where it is made either of 3D printing or mold of the same texture, size, and everything to be presented in your cafe so that the customer looks exactly on the prototype that has been given and they can order the food? It's just a quick feedback from you.
Okay, understood. So right now we are only using food photography. So we have a photography team who comes regularly with doing the photographs on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. So we have a display screen along with display screens here and there. So where all these photographs are mentioned are displayed on that, and sometimes people look at it, oh, this looks very interesting, and they do order. It's not that you would get direct, but it actually helps you to bump up your total billing or the per person order value.
So my question was, would you prefer a handmade prototype that can actually be seen, like a mold?
Okay, no. Okay, understood. Okay, so we don't have that much of space in here because, as I said, we are a very already tightly spit out space. So 3D mall specifically, maybe we can use it at bakery levels, but we also have a display counter where all these one-time displays of daily it is changed, where a lot of bakery items are displayed, which is only for display. But now I've seen in couple of cafes where they are all actually displaying 3D printed or pizzas, and just to show them visually how this looked like. But that is the new innovation which is coming up, but we've not really explored in that path.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we can take additional questions offline, or they can send email to us directly so that we can answer them or connect with the speakers. So thank you all for attending the webinar. We know that you are all busy, and in spite of that, you have made yourself available today to attend the webinar from the two eminent resource persons. I thank Mr. Karumbaya from So Coffee and Tony from Chica Coffee Roasters for sparing your valuable time as well. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, sir. Now we will conclude the session with the formal vote of thanks by Sushmi now. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Atal Incubation Center, CCRI-CED, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Karumbaya BK and Mr. Tony Dadiso for sharing your inspiring journey and valuable insights. We truly appreciate your time, contribution, and the knowledge you have shared. We look forward to continued collaboration and future engagement, sir. Special thanks to all the participants for your active engagement and insightful questions. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, my bad. My bad.